adaptations, the notes here are what you've already taken notes on and what we've already learned. I just want to go through and review it quickly. So we have adaptations, and an adaptation is a change that allows you to better survive in your environment. It's really good to survive because then you're able to produce offspring, and then those offspring can carry on your genes and can continue to live, okay? We have two types, inherited and learned. If you inherit a trait, then that means it's in you. It's something that you already know how to do. And then you have learned, which means you have to learn how to do it. Okay? We had two types of adaptations, behavioral and characteristic. A behavioral adaptation is the way that you behave. It's the way that you act, the things that you do. These are your actions. And then our characteristics, these are basically physical characteristics, things that you appear to look like. So again, plants and animals can do both, or really all four of these different items. We dove into animal adaptations today. So we're going to continue on with our notes. You're going to add animal adaptations, and then we have, again, behavioral and physical. There are two behavioral and there are two physical that we're learning here in 4th grade. So the first one for behavioral is hibernation. I'm sure we're all familiar with hibernation. I think of bears, they eat a whole bunch of food and then they go sleep for the winter. But why? Why do they do this? Our book did a great job explaining this. It's because there's a lot of snow. And there's a book that I read often with Brantley that he likes, and it's called Annie and the Wild Animals. There's a lot of snow, and she loses her cat, and so she bakes a bunch of corn muffins and she puts them outside hoping to find a new animal to love on. So she puts a corn muffin outside, and then a moose comes, and she's like, oh no, this moose is too big. And then every day she puts corn muffins out, and then more and more and more and more animals come. She's like, oh no, this is so bad, all of these wild animals are here. Why are those wild animals drawn to her? Well, because it's so snowy, they can't find any food. And then at the end of the book, springtime happens and the snow melts, so then the wild animals go back to their natural habitats, and her cat ends up returning. But that's hibernation. Hibernation is when animals, they know that winter's coming. They know that they're not going to have a lot of food, so they eat a whole bunch of food and then they sleep for a really long time, okay? Migration. My trick for migration is this M. I think of move. Migration is when animals move. So this happens a lot in the winter time. It gets way too cold up north, so all those birds, they don't want to be too cold, right? It's kind of hard for a bird to stay warm. They have feathers, but not blubber or anything special. So they migrate. They all move down south. That's why we see a ton of birds during the winter time. And then we have the physical characteristics. Camouflage. Again, you're probably pretty familiar with camouflage. This is when animals blend into their environment, okay? And then we have mimicry. Oh, this might not sound familiar to you, but think about if you have a sibling. I'm sure a lot of times you've mimicked each other. Like, Mom, I don't want to do that. And then your sibling says, Mom, I don't want to do that. And then they might say, hey, stop copying me. And then you say, hey, stop copying me, right? You're mimicking. You're trying to match what the other person is doing. And that's exactly what happens here. So this is when animals try to look like another animal, okay? So we have two kinds of snakes, and they look very similar to each other. It's just that their stripes are different. And I'll have a picture at the end here in your notes so that you can look at those animals. So if you have a poisonous snake, and let's say a bird tries to eat you, and they get really, really sick, or they might even die, right? They're not going to ever do that again. So if you're an animal that's not poisonous and you look like him, is an animal going to want to mess with you? Probably not. So that's why an animal might want to have mimicry, okay? All right, so I hope that you guys read. I hope that you understood everything. I think that I went over all the bold words to help make everything more clear for you. Please, please, please always get in touch with me if you need any help at all. All right, have a great day.